So I realized at that point when I was in high school that a single chemical reactions can change the world. For example, this currently in our world we have roughly over 7. Some of the family they lost literally like half of the family just like that.
That's ridiculous.
So that's probably why people say I can get it. You take the COVID vaccine.
What do you think makes you satisfied at that age?
True, this is very, very philosophical questions. If you ask me these questions when I'm drunk, probably I would say something else. Make me the Prime Minister of India.
Welcome to an episode on the Estelle Ingenuity Podcast. I'm Stephen Estelle, engineer, CEO, and founder of Estelle Ingenuity. In our episodes, we dive into different experiences from people who specialize in technology, entrepreneurship, and other necessary elements that will help you reach your full potential in these fields. We focus in on innovative devices that will be changing our society, stories from entrepreneurs and how they maneuver through the business landscape, and how these new technologies are being used in businesses to bring value to the world. From these stories, if you are inspired to develop your own inventions and prototypes, and you want to see your innovative ideas flourish, reach out to us at estelleingenuity.com for your prototyping needs so together we can begin creating the new devices of the future. With that being said, enjoy the show, follow and subscribe to Estelle Ingenuity Podcast, and relish the wisdom from the topic you hear today. So I'm curious then to go into the first or the next question, and then I have another question after that. And I'm curious about that one.
Yeah.
So going back to what we're talking about the blue zones. So to first explain to people, so a blue zone is kind of like a location on the planet Earth that has, is it like the or just some of the oldest people living here or something, correct?
Yes, some of the oldest people living here. I think there are 3 different blue zones around the world.
Yeah, so I know there's one in Okinawa where we're at
Italy,
here.
and
one in
probably
Italy.
Somewhere around that area. But they are kind of almost in the same line.
Like the equator, kind of like the
probably
longitude. But yeah.
But they are pretty small in size, like Okinawa. They're probably not in cities, like for example, California is not the place that.
But I actually saw, I think one of the blue zones is actually like a city. In southern, it's like a small city in Southern California. But I need to double check. But I think I saw the top 5.
Could be top 5 because I know only 3. Maybe
okay. Maybe it's more 4 or 5. But it was like a city in Southern California by the mountains.
It could be. The by the mountains. Usually these places are.
It's not LA. LA is the opposite.
Usually that's
it's like a red zone.
Usually these are like very small. I think I'm also not really sure about why exactly is the case. But of course, I read the book about Okinawa, the Ikigai. Where it's quite famous book. But I do get it. It's a very small island. Very healthy. There's no pollutions around in the air. Very quiet life. Usually people, I think, relatively happy than I've seen in my, back in India, in other places as well. By the year.
But why not like the Philippines?
I think people here, like Okinawa could have been a like high-tech city. But usually this is like a rural area. The people usually don't have much, they don't have probably that much ambitions in like we have in modern life. Like we have to, go for like this high-tech
get
thing,
that money,
get the money, apartment, and probably a like Ferrari or something. I guess they never actually thought about it in their life. I think some of them they prefer to walk and then prefer to ride a bicycle. That's their hobby, man. This is not my hobby, so I
but it's a nice life.
It's a nice life. I guess like people like us probably would like to live.
He sells some material.
Like most of the people who gonna live like 40 or 50 years of their life, working towards like achieving something, fame, money, and everything. At some point, this is my retirement life, and I'm gonna probably go somewhere in the corner, and then gonna fish, and then probably farm and do that. But Okinawan people, they're probably living their whole life like that.
I'm just gonna retire.
It's like
from the age of 21.
Right.
So
So 10 years of that lifestyle might not change significantly. But probably they have been eating something like really good food, probably healthy food. But I think I was talking to one of the Okinawan once, and then he said, yeah, I get that, people here living more than 100 years, some of my grandpa who's still living it, but the current Okinawan generations, they're not going to leave.
The current ones?
You
got McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
You got freaking because, Yoshinoya. Yeah.
Because their drinks, they drinks a lot of alcohols, a lot of beers and a lot of usual alcohols. They're into like fast food and really quick food. Also, they wants to be maybe more more than what their grandparents were, like not just a fisherman.
Yeah,
I want to start a business or study abroad.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of sense. So it's like they're like fat now and they're not very healthy.
It's funny, like the Okinawan fat is still fit to me. Like in America, fat is fat.
Oh yeah,
but
I've been
Okinawan we're fat,
like fat. Okay. Yeah, but he was describing his son and himself.
Got you.
Yeah, man. I have a company, small company. He runs a car company, like for driving school.
Nice.
So he's making probably a lot of money. But he was like, because I don't follow the diets and these things, so I don't think I'm going to live like 100 years. I'm like, interesting.
So, I wonder if it is like diet mixed with a little bit. Like, I'll be curious to take these blue zones and then taking these areas and kind of trying to find like variables. Like you said, are they happen to be located close to the equator? That would be interesting. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a blue zone you think in Alaska, up north?
Probably people haven't found it out yet. I didn't hear that, but usually I think sun is probably one of the important factors I see. Like,
good sunlight.
Good sunlight. A quiet life out from the, massive crowd.
Yeah, the stress.
I think a sense of belongings and the friends, of course, the food and diets, maybe that definitely helps a lot, I guess. Okinawan people eat a lot of the citrus-related food, and then like potatoes, like simple carbs.
Yeah.
So I think diets definitely is one of the important factors. But also I think one of the important parts that we always forget currently is the sense of community, because we are probably I think the cities I've seen people are less kind of bonded towards each other.
Yeah,
I think that could
be
like if you're not really happy mentally, I don't think any type of food will help you. Any type of medicine will help you.
Can't save yourself from reality.
So maybe that's one of the things.
So
would be.
The random question for you: What do you think is a good age for you to live to?
I would say 60 to 65 would be a good age for me. But
really? That's still young.
Yeah, but so usually it's coming from an Indian.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, Indian perspective, because Indian people also like I've seen my grandfathers like from my mom's side is living relatively healthy, and his age is like 85 years. But also he has issues now, for example, walking issues and this thing.
Yeah.
But also I knew that he is one of the like old guys who like we used to do, like who are still probably doing right now, like every day some sort of like yoga or some sort of like like activities. But a lot of people who don't do it back in India, because it's like for them it's still a fancy thing to
yoga.
Do. Yeah, you can do it for free. like activities or like
having fun.
So like something, So usually I've seen like after 65, at least from Indian standard, people struggle to maybe like energetic and do things.
I get you.
Yeah, so I was like, when I lose my energy and then I'm like, just to be alive, to enjoy some stuff, I don't want to live that far. It's okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's okay. 65 is a good age. So if I could do something, I think I should be able to make or do something by then. And then it's like, leave the room for the young generation.
For the young kids out there. Yeah, to me, I'm thinking like...
What's your age? Yeah, like...
Because
like which age you would like to, like things, I have lived enough.
I'm good. So I would say this. So kind of working. So here's kind of like how I'm going to work through it. So like I have my parents, they're in their 60s. They're still working. They're still going on trips. They're still able to enjoy their hobbies. And they're able to still, enjoy life. Mm-hmm. Grandparents, they're in their 70s. And, of course, you're not going to be out there like running around, as like what you used to. But like they still drive motorcycles.
Oh,
they do roller skating.
Oh, really? That's something else. Are they from Okinawa?
No, man, they're in like a small little country town in the United States. Okay. They live a very quiet life.
I think that's why they're still very genki.
yeah, maybe genki means healthy. Yeah. Those non-Japanese people. but so I think for me, I mean, I don't really know of an age, but I mean maybe just 100. Reason being is that I feel like in my life I kind of have like, I don't want to say chapters, but I guess more so like volumes. Whereas kind of like, age 1 to, I want to say maybe 18 is like volume 1, where I was like still trying to learn, who I am. And then now I feel like I'm in volume 2 right now, 18 to 30, where I'm like building based off of who I know I am and how can I maximize who I am. And then I feel like, so right now I'm 28 as well. And I feel like, in this time I've been learning engineering. I found my passion to do prototyping and making cool devices. And then I'm guessing maybe from like 30 to like, I don't know, maybe like 45 will be like the next volume of like, okay, I built, or I'm trying to like grow myself as a human. Now I kind of reached this potential. Of course, I'm going to keep learning. Now, how can I apply it? So I feel like volume 3 is going to be about application.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting, actually.
And then I'm just thinking through this, maybe the ages aren't going to be correct, but maybe from like 45 to 60 is probably going to be the time where it's like time to give back. Mm-hmm. So, I amplified it, I grew, I'm applying it to, maybe to grow a company or family, but now I'm going to give back to the next generation. And then from 60 to onward, it's probably going to be more so about, I guess, sharing my wisdom while also just not being too gun-ho, but maybe also helping other people go through their application time. So I feel like that's going to be more so of like the helping people part.
Could be, yeah. I feel like at 60s, it's very interesting to think like what 60s, obviously you have a lot of knowledge.
A lot.
Because you have interacted with several different types of people from all over the countries. You lived so much, you traveled so much. Something interesting. But I feel like always like, like you definitely will be a knowledgeable person to talk to and then probably help out. Probably we don't get that kind of like guidance probably.
Yeah.
Like, usually, yeah. That would be interesting. But for my point, it feels like, well, I could also love to do it. But if I feel like weak and, like it's miserable for me to walk, no. I want to live my life with like a positive force of energy. If I lose that, I think it kind of, for me, life became a bit meaningless.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm also like very hopeful person. Mm-hmm. Usually like if it's anything, like it's a hope thing, I think I'll strive for the better thing. But yeah, I think I'm also like as usual, like you, also very healthy person, try to make my body fit. But also, 65, that's the potential. Like if I'm healthy enough,
it's all down here.
I'm okay. 65, really feeling the energy. Like this thing. And then who knows? I might be like the longest alive persons in the earth. Maybe later, living 120 years. Yeah.
So I guess maybe it's more not so much as an age, but more so as until my health degenerates.
It also like mental as well. Like whether you're satisfied with your life, because a lot of people, they're like, I think if you're not happy with mentally, I think you kind of feel kind of bored with the things. Like we have a lot of things in plan all the time, but at this time also when you reach there, it doesn't really work out. And there's like, you have to find, of course, the alternative plans if you really want to. But maybe I feel like 65, like I'm also 27 now, will be 28 very soon. But like 65 is like very long path.
Yeah,
and maybe I'll be exhausted by the way. Yeah. 65, like, there now I have some things that I'm like, okay, let's see. There are interesting things in life that I definitely would like to try and see how it goes, because life is, I think I take life like an adventure. Then you do some stuff, like crazy stuff, some research, some ideas.
I get that.
So 65, if I'm not too exhausted, I would like to continue. I was like, maybe it's an optimum age.
Is there a goal or something that you want to achieve before this time? Either if it's like, I guess, like a life goal. Because you mentioned that some people might not be satisfied.
Yeah.
For you, what do you think makes you satisfied at that age?
True. This is very, very philosophical questions. If you ask me these questions from Trump, probably I would say something else. Like, make me the Prime Minister of India. If I'm not an Indian Prime Minister, I'm not satisfied.
No, I get you. Yeah.
Something like yes. So this is, I guess, like a very situation-dependent question.
Mind.
But if I have to think, I think helping people would make anybody happy. So right. I'm also not a...
I guess specifically.
Yes, specifically, I would, I can be helpful in many ways. But
so how would you want to be helpful?
Exactly. How? In that case, probably because my background is chemistry and making pharmaceutical and things. I have been seeing this thing. A lot of people, because India is such a massive country. We just crossed more than 1 billion people, and probably in the earth we are the most, the biggest country with the most populations.
Oh, just the density.
Yeah,
it's very dense.
The number of people.
Yeah.
I think we just crossed China.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Actually. Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. But
it's pretty dense.
Yeah, although in India, there are a lot of pharmaceutical companies, but also there are a lot of people probably don't have this basic health care, which is probably true in many other countries as well. One of the reasons is because they cannot afford this medication, because it's expensive. Many of them are just out of the reach. And a lot of people doesn't have this insurance and things, and this can be like more available to other people, so it can be one of the way you make things more cheaper. So that's one of the things. So I would like to be probably working on somewhere at the end, maybe pharmaceuticals company, of course that's the next step, but I'd like to be somewhere who controls, maybe take bigger responsibilities, so maybe can have a direct impact. So like manufacturing company, probably you'd like to own at some point. So drives down something that could be one of the things, but of course it's a difficult thing to do, but that could be one of the things, like probably the biggest company in the world and the CEO is Mr. Santanu. And making the chemicals. And next time, the COVID 2.0...
You're on it. I'm going to come in like, hey, what do we do? Do I take it? Do I not?
That time, just like free medicines for everyone. Not free, it's not possible, but at least like everybody can afford.
At least non-profit.
Non-profitable. There are several ways, if you're really genuine about it, you can make a difference. I think, but it's not only about the business. I guess people,
Gotcha.
A lot of things just happen just only for the business. So probably like avoid that part. Maybe also think about more eco-friendly way, to take care of the world. At the same point, also helping others. So that's where probably that's a very sweet spot. Probably it's kind of emotional, personal, as well as can be good for as a career as well. So I probably would be somewhere in that point. I
think that's pretty good.
What about you? What you want to?
For myself, thinking about it now, just off the top of my head, like if I'm 100 and I'm looking back on my life, like, okay, I am satisfied. I think I'm thinking about maybe the idea that I made people's lives. I want to try to give specifics. I don't want to just say better, but maybe because of my interaction in their life, I was able to help them achieve their dream. And the reason for this is because, so I have like ideas that I want to do with Estelle Ingenuity where like, for example, have you seen Black Panther, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've seen recently, yeah.
So I think in Black Panther 1, I remember in the ending scene, they said that they built like a science institution in like a city.
I've also seen the next part as well.
I still haven't seen it. So like, like, calm down. I'm very late. But I think the idea is like, I think that would be pretty cool. Like, of course, I want to do like Estelle Ingenuity, make some devices and make a startup and everything. But I also have another idea of I want to give back to the youth, and especially for people who haven't had the opportunity to learn science. It would be cool to have a facility where people who never had the opportunity to get into engineering, to go there, and maybe it's just equal exposure to the STEM field.
It's like an online platform for like
preferably
reaching out to people.
I would want it to be in person. So like an idea would be a giant science institution in cities like Chicago, LA, New York, wherever, where high schoolers or people who are in college who are interested in engineering can go here, actually meet engineers, learn about engineering and science, and they can actually show them like, oh, this is what a 3D printer is. This is how you design for 3D printing. This is how you do electrical circuitry. This is how you make circuit boards. And to kind of at least just introduce them. Because for myself, I didn't meet my first engineer until college. You know, a lot of people are asking like, oh, you're an engineer. Were your parents engineers? But my parents were a police officer and a flight attendant.
Oh, right. Oh, interesting.
Right. It's I got into engineering just because of like curiosity by my own accord. But I feel like a lot of kids, especially like minorities in different areas of the country in the United States, if they were at least introduced to science, they would probably excel. And I feel like people aren't even introduced to it at all. Because it's just kind of like maybe just not in the culture or things of that nature.
Yeah, maybe there is no such platform. But definitely it's a good science outreach activities or probably. So you'd like to start a business out of it, or just like a non-profit?
It would be something like that. So right now, for example, I would do like outreach programs at the bases here in Okinawa, where I would go there and teach them about 3D printing.
Right.
You know, and I guess you could say that's like a small scale. But my massive idea is like in Black Panther, if it was a big place where I was able to hire electrical engineers, mechanical, whatever, just science people. And if it, like maybe I guess like a big after school program where people can go there and they want to build a robot.
Yeah, I think like that. I never actually heard anything like that before. Like where an after school people go and then do their like probably interesting science activity, or they can learn something new.
Something.
Yeah.
A lot of it's like, sports. You know, you go play basketball for like a weekend or something.
Right.
But yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. You could like host like robot battles. You can like host like I don't know, like hackathons for like who can like make. I think that'll really introduce. I think that'll be beneficial not only to the children but to society, because I feel like right now, if only a certain part of society is being introduced to a field of science majoritively, then you're kind of missing this side of creativity.
True, totally.
Right?
In
the cultures and things.
I think also science usually, at least coming from our society, is also not accessible for everybody.
Exactly.
It's also, I feel like this higher educations and also particularly science and related fields becoming very expensive.
Yeah.
It's also like, who has the money, get the opportunity to learn or something. So I think it could be, or maybe it could be an interesting thing probably. Yeah, like starting something completely new, like institutions or some sort of like outreach. Institutions.
I wouldn't know how the business model will work. It seems like it might even be like a tax funded thing. I don't even know. It'd be like a non-profit, but I don't know how that would run.
Yeah. I haven't thought about it, but also, for example, in our institute, They have also similar this kind of activities, but maybe it's funded by the institute. For example, reaching out to people. Probably you have been also one of them, like going to small islands and then teaching and educating them with science experiments and this thing. So
I think
I think it's one of the very good, because also currently this science communication is becoming this very important part. It's like we kind of obliged or slowly kind of getting this urge to what we do, and also it's coming from taxpayers' money. So also we have to kind of give them back, maybe the education's wise, not only the product itself. So this could be probably one of the ways, science communication is becoming such a important part. So probably these kind of institutions would probably be helpful for other people.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. So I guess to answer the question, going back to is to be able to help people achieve their goals, like help as like many people and achieve their goals to make their lives easier. And I don't really have a number of how many people, but I'm sure there is something. Like I just want to help people reach their goals.
Yeah.
Like a mentor advisor kind of a thing, while also building and inventing.
True. But also you can probably think about like doing something online, because then you can like reach out to a lot of other people. True. Because it's like, for example, when back in India, because we have this thing of going to private tutor, for example. And then like 10 years before, there was this online teaching was not that popular. But then slowly, when I was in college and then in the master's program, then I kind of started noticing, people kind of, they're creating the channel in YouTube. And they're like a new platform now where they're making millions of dollars just from that. So it's like a very effective strategy, because now you can interact with literally like millions of students around India and probably around the world. And these online professors or teachers, like really good teachers, they're probably like helping out a lot of people, and also it could be like a really good career choice as well, at least from current point of view.
That's a good thought.
Like if you can build, so like I was checking one of the documentaries recently, like one of the, I'm not sure how truthful it is. It was like one of this like study related app, it valued like more than $1 billion, which was like they just like give like online educations chapter wise of some courses, competitive exams or scientific related advancement, and they're like gaining very, very popular in recent times. And also it's like a really attractive, probably I think online based platform are becoming more and more useful and accessible for a lot of people, for example. And also I think the data became very, very cheap nowadays. The technologies are also going really affordable. For example, people who is somewhere in a corner of probably Africa, even in the Indian corner, somewhere in the, I don't know, like who don't have much opportunity to study, probably online platform could be very effective solution.
That's a good thought. Yeah, maybe you have to do Stell Ingenuity Institution.
I think I think online you have potentials to reach a really mass.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost that much.
It just you have to have that right, probably. Yeah.
That's a thought, actually. It's an interesting thought. Yeah, glad we brought that up. That was the end of an episode of the Stell Ingenuity podcast. Hope you learned something new and innovative and were left inspired to go create and invent new ideas for the betterment of society. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the Stell Ingenuity podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for more stories and experiences from people in the field and to hear about new up-and-coming technology. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next podcast episode.